Ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be an amazing episode lucky number 9 of the podcast, Carlos Inspire Show, where we bring in amazing guests and leaders of the world. And we are streaming right now worldwide through every single social media out there. And I have somebody over here, a dear friend of mine, somebody that I respect, somebody that's been out there in the game for years. And let me tell you something about this person here, ladies and gentlemen. He has taught at the University of Southern California for 7 years. He's the ultimate performance specialist. He holds a doctorate in neuropsychology, best-selling author, the head trainer and co-speaker with Tony, Mr. Robbins. He's a philanthropist. He has presented to well over 4.5 million people around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please get on your feet and help me welcome to the stage the author of Awesome Sauce and Get Happy Now, Mr. Joseph McClendon the third. What's up, my friend?
Wow, man, that was. I want to meet that guy. Hey, man, you're gonna have to work on getting excitement and get over your shyness, because.
Hey, I tried. You know what I mean? I'm like, people like, Carlos, I want to hire you to be the host of all my events and introduce me on stage. My friend Joseph, how you doing, my brother? Such an honor to have you here on the show. The world right now, it's in totally complete chaos. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. I know that you and I are both in California, and you in Los Angeles. I'm Northern California, nearby Sacramento. And outside, at our own neighborhoods, within 1 mile and 2 miles from us, complete chaos breaking down. And it's just insane. You know what I'm saying? And Joseph, speaking of that, bro, with the whole world being crisis right now, what do you think, what would be an advice, right, that you would have for all of us and in what you do in times like this, my friend, with all your experience?
Well, to answer your question, I got to ask a question, and it's a rhetorical question I'm asking you and our listeners as well. Do you want inspiration or do you want change? And that's a trick question, because the answer is we want change, but we want lasting change. And what I mean by that, and I'll talk about, obviously, my country is the epicenter of a lot of things going on, COVID and the racial issues right now. And both of them hold a couple things in common. But I'm going to talk about the racial issues right now because they're the ones that are out front right now.
Yes.
Pandemics will come and go. They will. They always have, and they always will. And, I think I shared with you, I've lost 8 friends just in the last 2.5 months due to this. So it is hitting me in a very profound way, and I'm very sad about that. Yes. However, I will say that that will come and go, definitely. Humanity will get over that. Racism and the racial issues, they will not go. They must be systematically rooted out and replaced. And so when I say change, and I say lasting change, motivation and inspiration and empowerment, that'll just get you off the dime. That'll just get you going. That'll inspire you to get out, and it has. It's inspired people to risk their limb and their life to get out on the streets. They're inspired right now, but motivation will only get you started. The only thing that's going to work is if we systematically expose and treat the cause of the problem. And the cause in this case is a set of beliefs that we all have about ourselves, about other people, and about the world around us. If you're Black, you have a deep-seated psychological wound about who you are, what other people think about you, and what the world thinks about you. If you're white or anything in between, you have a deep-seated psychological belief about yourself, about the world around you, and about how other people. And so what happens is that there are processes that we have to go in. You know that from the work that I know you from, to go in, and it's things like change personal history, and to do what we call effective pattern and psychological pattern replacement. And they're simple. They're not easy necessarily, but they're simple. And so right now we're in a leadership crisis. And I don't mean leaders, like I said, not leaders that are just going to step up and go, hey, you can do this, everything's going to be okay. That's great. We need leaders to change the narrative, to go, listen, here's what we can do to make the shifts inside. A person is not racist just because they don't have the experience, or because they don't understand. You know, right now, there are a lot of people, a lot of my white friends are calling me Joseph. I never realized it was this bad. I never realized that. And I could go, how could you not realize that? This has been going on for 401 years. But the reality is they don't have that experience. They're not seeing life through the same lens. I have had the experience. I had a cop's foot on my head. I had 3 people try to take my life because of the color of my skin. I've had racial torment, bullying, separation, my entire life. And everybody that black skin has that. So our experience is different. And the reason what happens, Benjamin Franklin said 100 years ago that justice will not come about, justice will not be served until those that are unaffected are just as outraged as those who are affected. And right now, those who aren't affected are outraged. They're in the streets. If there is a silver lining, if there is anything beautiful about this, it is that there are all races in the streets. There are all races protesting. There are all races saying enough is enough. Well, you know what? Enough has been enough for a long time. And so they're outraged. But the danger is right now is that people don't realize that, okay, we're starting to make some headway. So let's shift our approach. And so right now, that's what I'm all about now, is to help people to recognize, to shift the approach that we're going after. Because if we just keep doing what we're doing, people are going to go home at some point. Yeah. And when they do, the same thing is going to happen that's happened over and over again for 400 years. It's going to get swept under the rug.
Yes. No, I can relate. As you saying that, Joseph, I was thinking about, my neighborhood, right? Growing up as a kid and born in the hood, like you and I, we both come from like the same cloth, you know what I'm saying? And been through the bullying and all this shit and name calling, you know what I mean? I remember being in this country as an immigrant and, fun of because of my accent and all the racial stuff that I have to went through. And it's like I always tell people, unless if you really feel it, you never understand.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we had people taken away from murder for my family. I seen kids die in front of me on the streets of Brazil. I know what it feels like having somebody in your ear looking at me and my friends from the barrio. Oh, because you guys are going to die in the barrio. You guys are going to die in the hood. You're never going to leave the hood. But it gets to a point, right, to just say like enough is enough. But in order for anything to change, we must to change first. We must no longer tolerate this bullshit, and it starts at home. It starts us with our kids. It starts at our communities. It starts as us by leading. We don't have to depend on no government, or it doesn't. And now is the time for, I've been talking so much about this, bro. The time is for everybody, right, to sit down and forget about, what political party we are coming from, what religious belief, the color of our skin. It's like literally sit down on a table and like, okay, guys, now we got all this shit going on. What is next? And I love that you touch on that, brother. And speaking of that, what is next, Joseph? What do you think, bro, that some of the strategies that you could share for us to capitalize, in moments like this in life, that you could share for us to help others out there?
Well, you're right. Now is the time. It's a perfect storm right now. But now is the time not to, like I said, just be a leader and say, hey, we can do this. And there's strategies. And I'll give you 3. Actually, I'll give you a few. I'll give you 2 sets. The first one is just 3 things that we can do as a whole. And that is, number 1 is to educate our leaders to add to their conversation, to their narrative about beliefs change and about systematic changing of how we feel and our insight. Because what's happening right now, man, is something called empathy. And that means that people are, there's sympathy and there's empathy. Sympathy means something happens to you and I look at you and I go, I feel sorry for you. That's too bad that happened to you. Empathy is when something happens to you and I go, you have empathy right now. I have had the same experience. I feel you right now. And I'm in the fight with you. And I'm going to help the change. That's empathy. And that's what's happening around. That's what's everybody in the street. And from empathy comes compassion. And from compassion comes change. And so right now, if our leaders, they need to be educated because they're talking the same stuff. And God bless them. They're doing the right thing. They're leading people, but a leader is somebody with tools and strategies to help people move beyond where they are right now. And at the risk of sounding arrogant, I have two unique skills. One of them is, as a psychologist, producing change in an individual, me doing it for them, with them right there. And that's great, but I can't be everywhere. The other unique skill that I have is teaching people to do it for themselves. And so that's what, the leaders need to be educated on that as well. That needs to be introduced. The second thing is that we must assess the battlefield. And again, this is synonymous with the coronavirus and everything as well. We have been at war in this country for 401 years. And in your country, and it's wars all over the place, but wars are won through battles. Wars are won through the incremental battles, and battles are the individual conflicts that happen that produce results. But the trick is, so the second thing is we must assess the battle that we're in right now. And so as a leader, you don't send your troops into battle, your soldiers into battle and go, you guys just fight until you die. You send them in the battle and you say, you take this hill, you take this beach, you take this, and then we're going to strategize on what to do next. Because if they just keep fighting, they lose the will to fight. They lose the reason they're doing it, and they're going to do stupid things. Yeah. So instead, right now, we need to recognize that, yeah, we fought battles, and we won a battle yesterday in that 3 of the other 3 policemen got arrested. That was one of the things that needed to be done. Yeah. And so when that happens, I started noticing immediately people going, yeah, well, that's not enough. We're not done. And it's true. It's not enough, and we're not done. But unless people go, okay, wait a minute. Okay, we got this. Now what's the next step? And the next step is to make clear the demands and the things that have to happen to make this thing go further. And that is in America now, in terms of the racial issues right now, things like body cameras on the cops and access by the public to those body cams and vetting of the cops and auditing of the cops and checking in and training and things like that. And the list goes on and on. We got to make clear of those things, and then they got to be implemented. But for us right now, because I've had this conversation now for 2 months, and the conversation was first about the virus and everything that's going on. There's several things that we can do. Number one, obviously, protect yourself. Do the right thing. Whether you think this is a conspiracy or this is just the flu and it's going to wash over or whatever, you got to protect yourself. And the easiest, best, quickest, fastest way that everybody can protect yourself is make sure that your own immune system is healthy. Eat right, breathe right, drink the right kind of water. Mitigate the fear. Don't look at all the crap that's on television, because fear denigrates your immune system. And make sure that you are doing all of those things. Move your body. I always say that to do these things. Number one, look where you want to go. This is going to be over one day. And when it does, you're going to look back and you're going to ask yourself 2 questions, one of 2 questions. What did I do back there in 2020 that I'm glad I did, because now I'm thriving? I helped a lot of people. I helped myself. I educated myself and all those things. Or you're going to ask, what do I wish I would have done? Because now I'm not as far ahead. And the things are really simple. Number one, meditate. And I don't mean just sit down and go into a lotus position and zen out. I mean stop and be silent and listen to your own thoughts. Because you'll listen to your own thoughts and you'll realize either those thoughts are doing what I call love lifting you, which are praising you and acknowledging you and telling you empowering things, or they're thoughts that are tearing you down. If they're tearing you down, you got to change them through repetition. The second thing that you got to do is you got to move your body. Get out, walk, move. I have trampolines all over my house, these little ones rebounders, that I'm, every hour or so I get up and I jump around. That fortifies your lymph system and your immune system. Next is mitigate the fear. As I said, turn off the television, turn off the bad news. Yeah. You don't have to have it all day long. And then next is to, you notice that these are all M's. Yeah. Meditate, mitigate, move your body. And then next is what I say is to mentor. And that means go get a mentor and be a mentor. Yeah. Because through the process of teaching people what you know, you actually release dopamines into your system that make you feel better, which improves your immune system. But you also do the same for them. you know, in this, and by the way, at the end of this course, at the end of this conversation, I want to give everybody here a free gift that they can do that to mentor themselves and teach other things as well. And so learn something right now, you know.
You know, it's funny, Joseph, as you are talking, bro, because, you know, you are one of my brothers that actually has the receipts. You know what I mean? A lot of people over there, they talk on social media, where you actually walk that talk. You know what I mean? It's like you've been healthy for so long, and it's very, your immune system is so strong, and you have no idea how far your message goes. You know, things that I learned from you from back in the day, you know what I mean? Just for the simple fact of moving, it affected my own children, right? Like Isabella, my daughter, she's now 8, but since she's like 3.5, you know, somebody comes to the house, she goes, hey, how you doing? And if the person say, okay, and if she thinks they're full of shit, she goes to their face and flex it, and then you ask her, and you go, hey, Isabella, what do you do whenever you're upset, or whenever you don't feel like listening, or if you just don't feel like listening to daddy, what do? You know, you can breathe in and you can breathe out. And then if I go, but Isabella, but what if you don't feel like breathing in and you don't feel like breathing out and you just want to be a rebel today? Then what do you do, Isabella? Then daddy, then you gotta shake that ass. You know, and because she's seen me talking about the stuff that I learned from you and from Tony and other stuff. And this in particular is one of your tools, right? And people, they don't underestimate. We have these tools within us. It's like the stuff that we teach. Everything, guys, is within us. And I just love it that you brought it up, all these points. Like a trampoline costs like $20-30 on Amazon. Actually, don't go to Amazon. Go to your local city. Go to your local town and support your local community. Take a break off online because we need to support our communities. Yeah, Amazon already make too much money. Yeah, I say it, Jeff. You know, so you know what I mean? But it's like stuff like that. Breathe, meditate, take the time. And people, it'd be surprising whenever you listen to yourself and all this shit. Most people out there, guys, 90% of their day, they like it's like this shit's torturing you.
Yeah.
And then you gotta follow exactly what Joseph is saying, just making that move, listening and changing. And one thing that you brought it up, Joseph, that I wish I would have done a long time ago. It's like the mentor piece, right? To not only have a mentor a long time ago, because a lot of people that they preach or they sell mentorship or they're talking about coaching and mentoring, but they don't have a mentor themselves. And then if you're not growing, you are dying. And not only that, people that just get into the game of like mentoring other people. It's like, for example, sometimes, you know, whenever we're doing those interviews or whenever we are doing a live and somebody's, they feel the energy, they feel the joy and the passion, but they don't know that helps us just as much because we are talking, we are releasing, that there are internal changes happening in our body. And I love how you brought those things up, brother. You know what I mean? It's just so important, guys. You know what I mean? And Joseph, tell me something. What is some of the tools that you are using right now, you know what I mean, that somebody could have used right now to kind of, if they are being tormented, you know what I mean? I've been praying that people shut down the TV and turn off negativity. But what are some of the tools that you would recommend, Joseph, them using throughout the day to help them in their life, in their business? What are some of those things, bro?
Yeah, one of them is, and I recommend this for everybody, it's called pattern replacement, psychological and emotional pattern replacement. What that means is when you're feeling negative at all, whether it is because you're watching something somebody said or you're just feeling bad or whatever, then you cannot replace something without doing something about the problem first. You cannot put a Band-Aid on cancer and expect it to heal. It ain't gonna happen. And so the cancer, in this case, I like what you said, our thoughts torture us at times. And that's all it is a thought. And from the thought that we're thinking, let's just say you're thinking about something that you're fearful of. It produces chemicals that make our heart beat a certain way and we feel bad. We feel scared. We'll procrastinate. We'll hesitate. We'll do stupid things. Okay. But while we're in that emotion is the time to change. And what that means is this. You must first, like I said, you must expose the emotion, be aware of it. Okay, I feel bad right now. And then you must treat the emotion by busting it apart. And then thirdly, placing in the emotion that you want. So you must be aware, find it first. And then number 2, open it up, tear it out. And then number 3, add something in. And how we do that is something called a pattern interrupt. A pattern interrupt is very, very simple. Anytime a human being is interrupted while they're in a stream of consciousness or a thought or an emotion or a physical position, Anytime that is interrupted, it'll create a scotoma, which is a blank spot. And that is why we've all done this. You're sitting somewhere and you go, oh, I need to go into the other room and get an ink pen. Then you stand up and you go into the other room and you're standing in the other room going, what the hell did I come in here for? And it is because you just did a pattern interrupt. Because you were thinking ink pen, you're feeling like I got an ink pen, you're certain about an ink pen. And then when you stand up, you create that blank spot. Now, the beautiful part about it is that blank spot is a vacuum in your mind. And that's why we're going, what? And that's your opportunity to put whatever you want in. And if you just smile, then it releases dopamine into your system and makes you feel better. So if you literally feel bad, interrupt your pattern, smile, and then praise yourself, and then go right back into it and do that over and over again. Feel bad, interrupt the pattern, smile, praise. Feel bad, interrupt the pattern, smile, praise. Then what'll happen is the very thing, you won't be able to feel bad, because the very thing that caused you to feel bad will be the thing that triggers you to feel good. And it's really, really simple. Feel bad, interrupt the pattern, smile, praise yourself over and over again. It's really simple and everybody can do it.
Wow. No, I love that. I love that. You just gave me, you're talking about smiling. And I was actually thinking about the story that you tell from back in the day on what you had to do to help your mother, I just love that story. That one is in your book, right? It's on the Get Awesome. Man, what's the name?
I think
mine has been going blank.
I've got so many. It's either Awesome Sauce or
Get Happy Now. Is it on the Get Happy Now? I believe it's on Get. It's one of the two, right? Which I highly recommend, guys. I've been reading so many books lately, but I just love the story. You're just like one crazy son of a gun because you just do it, and it's like you don't accept this, what I mean, the circumstances, it's just like, if people, they don't understand, guys, it's just like, you are not your feelings. Like this shit right now that's happening, it's not here to stay. It shall pass. You know what I mean? It's about, like Joseph just said, get angry, break the pattern, get happy. You know what I mean? And by the craziest stuff, Joseph, is that 95% of people, they won't do it. And I challenge you guys to prove me wrong, that 95% of the people looking at this will do it. You know what I mean? And it's just getting in the game. It's just like,
I believe that's the nature of anybody that would listen to this kind of podcast, is they probably will do something more than the average person will. And that's great.
You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, brother. So, you know what I mean? And I love that story. But Joseph, tell me something. I see a nice word behind you, the asstitude. How did that come out? What is the definition of asstitude, and how did that come out?
Somebody made that for me when I was in Finland. They gave that to me last year. And asstitude is my word that I use for, well, first off, I'll start here, that nobody will argue that your attitude will determine your altitude. Your attitude, meaning your perspective on things and how you feel in that moment, whether you're pessimistic or optimistic, that is your attitude. And it will determine whether you can, can't, will, won't. It'll determine how far you'll go. Well, the attitude, as I said before, this is another tool that people use. You know it, and that is this, that the attitude can change very, very quickly from moving our bodies. When we move our bodies, chemicals get released that give us a better attitude. And there's one area of our bodies that when you move that area of the body, it changes everything, without a doubt. Now, this sounds silly, but it's science. When you move that area of your body, it ignites your entire body, and that is your ass. When you move your ass, when you shake your ass, when you wiggle your ass, it makes the whole rest of your body release chemicals that make you feel good. And I dare anybody to prove me wrong. Go after it. And so that's why I call it asstitude. Shake that ass. I always tell people, when you feel bad and you want to feel better, what do? Shake that ass. And by the way, there is a long tail. There's a residual effect. You know this. You've seen me do it to crowds of 15,000 people that are tired as hell. We've been working them from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and they stay excited the entire time because I get them up every 45 minutes or something and shake that ass. And it's a practice that people can use throughout their life. Asstitude.
Yeah, for real. I love that, brother, because there's no way to get upset. Like, imagine right now, guys, as Joseph is saying this, let's say if you guys were having a bad day because you were like looking at negativity, look at how right now, how it has shifted, like, for example, if I would say the word, protest, if I say the word, racism, if I say the word anger, see, pay attention to your body right now and to your feelings. But now, if I say the word asstitude, shake that ass. Now look at how quick, right? Look at 1 second, 2 seconds. It's instantly. And that's the shit that I'm talking about. It's that fast. It's all here in our mind. It's retraining our brain, teaching our kids at home, talking to the neighbor. Love your neighbor. I'm not going religious here right now. I'm just saying, go talk to your neighbor. Go say, how you doing? How you been? You know, one question that I always love asking everybody, Joseph, that everybody out there is a great question to start a conversation. Whenever you talk to people and once you know what they do, you ask them this powerful question, which is people love talking about it, which is, my brother Joseph, what did it made you start doing all this? What was that turning point that you say, you know what? I want to become the greatest, the awesomest Joseph ass shaking McClendon the third, you know?
Well, if you're asking that question, I can tell you exactly what it was. There was never a point that I said, I'm going to be the greatest Joseph McClendon. There was never a point. But there was a point when I decided that this was going to be my calling. And fortunately, it came from some tragedy in my life. I told you this before, 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin, and I became homeless because of that. They stole my pride. They stole my dignity. I lost everything. And so, but what changed it for me was somebody gave me a book, Think and Grow Rich was the book, and I read the book, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. Yeah, what, you want to see something?
Hey.
My friend Dave Albin just sent me another copy of it. This one's
here. I give that to all my clients. Think and Go Rich. Is that all?
This one is the one that my son is using, because right now he's doing a book review on video every chapter, and he leaves it on Instagram. But anyway, he gave me the book, and then when I read the book, it changed my life because I did what the book said. And then when I went back to him, I said, how do I repay you? Because my life changed. And what he told me was, he said, you repay me by doing what I've done for you. You change as many people's lives as you possibly can. And it was in that moment that I realized that's my calling. You know, and I won't teach theory. So meaning I won't teach somebody something that I don't do myself. Yes. And so I now, as you know, I'm an ultimate performance specialist. And what that means is I'm kind of a high-end life coach. I have the privilege of working with Academy Award-winning movie stars and Grammy winners and major sports figures and millionaires and billionaires and all that stuff and everything. But I also have the opportunity of working with everybody. And so what my outcome is, to answer your question, that's the reason why I do what I do, because somebody did it for me.
Yes, no, man, I love that. It's just like, it's always great, listen to you, and then so much wisdom in this little body. You know what I mean? You're just one amazing son of a gun. And tell me something, my friend. You are on your deathbed. What would be like the last word, the last message that you would say? If your doctor would say, Joseph, you have like, a week or 2 to go and you're in your deathbed, what would be that message, Joseph?
What can we do tomorrow? That would be the question that I ask. What can we do tomorrow? Because I'll still be with you. I'll be with you in spirit. I'll be with you in your heart. And what can we do tomorrow? What are we going to do tomorrow to make this world a better place?
I love that question.
And yeah, when I look at my deathbed, I don't believe that life is meant to expire peacefully and just, okay, that was great. I want to come sliding in on a Harley Davidson with a bar of chocolate in my hand, screaming at the top of my lungs, going, what's next? What's next? No, to be honest with you, if I, heaven forbid, had to leave this planet tomorrow, I would leave this planet knowing that I left it in a better way, a better place, better than when I found it. And so when I look at, my last words would be thank you. If there's anybody standing around me, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you to God for having given me this vehicle, this vessel, this voice, and everything that I've had. Thank you to my mother and father for having raised me in a way that set me off to be, to have tenacity, to have dignity, to have energy, joy, and integrity. Thank you to my sisters for having been my best friends my whole life. Thank you to my dear son, who I love him so much, and I just, he amazes me every day. Thank you to my mentors, my teachers. Thank you to everybody that has been a part of my life, and thank you to life.
Yes. Wow, what a beautiful message. Damn, Dale, can I get an amen? Say it again, brother. That's just beautiful. Man, guys, I don't care where you guys are right now, listen to this live around the world. Take this moment right now. Just do a little journal. Give yourself a 5-minute gift by answering that question. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're in your deathbed, what is that thing? And then take a look at your life and making sure that you guys are living life to the fullest, making sure that you are living every single day as if it was your last day, man. I remember, and making sure, one of my greatest advice that I ever got was from my grandma, my friend. And the advice was, if like my grandma always said, son, if I was going to be there, how would you treat them? So if for anything from now on, how would it be different if it was going to be for your grandma? If you're going to study for the test, if you're going to go help somebody, if you're going to go help your grandma, if that business was to help your grandma or that session or anything, if your grandma was right there next to you, so treat everyone how would you treat your grandma, and just that gratitude and then being thankful for all the people that have been there. Just what an amazing, amazing podcast, my friend. Really appreciate you for being here. You got a lot of me to think about, a lot of memories here from the past as we were talking. And Joseph, what is a place that they can follow you, they can learn more from you, my friend? You just like an immense wealth of wisdom. You're like 300 years old, you're old, you look like you're 29, What is that a place that they can follow you, that they can learn more from you? And I remember also earlier you said at the beginning of this that you have an amazing free gift. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And by the way, this is absolutely free. There's no trial basis. There's no leave $1. There's none of that stuff. It's not lead capture. It's absolutely free. It is my gift to you. And I'll tell you why I'm doing it here in a second. And that is, right now, the world is starving for leaders, and leaders bring about certainty. So right now, self-certainty is needed. And so I created a program that if you go anywhere else, you got to pay for it. And it ain't cheap, but right now it's free for you. And it's something called my Self-Certainty Masterclass. It's an audio program. And just like I said, it's not just going to be Joseph talking. I'm going to have you do things. And as you do them, it's going to be rewiring your brain and rewiring you to have more certainty in your life. And so it's an audio program, and it comes with a workbook. And so if you go to my Instagram, and my Instagram is I am Joseph McClendon. I'll spell it for you. IamJosepHMCCLENDON. And when you go there, click on the link in my profile, and it'll drop down a menu and look for Self-Certainty Masterclass. There's a few other things there, but just go there and click on that, and it'll give it to you for free. And I want you to have it. I want you to do it. And here's the reason why I want you to do it, because those of us that dare to dream while the rest of the world is having a nightmare, you will obviously inherit and create the wealth and the prosperity and the life and lifestyle that you want. But the best part about it is that you will become a leader, and that you will become an example of possibility for other people as well. And together we'll change the world. So I want you to have this. Please let it be my gift to you. And the only thing that I ask is that you spread the wisdom. You can share the course if you want or not. But I want you to tell people, if you learn something here today, or you learn any of the other podcasts that this amazing man is doing, any information, you be the mentor and you share it with other people. Blame it on me. Blame it on us. Just go, look, here's what I learned. Let me share with you, because I promise you, there's somebody out there that needs what you know. And you never know when a set of words that you say don't change and save somebody's life. So please take it, use it, spread it, and get your results and be the example.
Wow. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, Joseph. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you guys to do before we end here, I want you guys to put a note right now on your cell phone to go take that I Am Joseph McClendon. Take that course. Put a reminder on your cell phone every day, like whatever that's that free time that you take to watch TV or plug in the news. I want you to use that time and give yourself that gift this week, that every day, for 30 minutes, at least give us 15 minutes, and you go there and you go listen to my friends over here course, and you implement it. Never leave a site without making a decision. You know what I mean? Give yourself that gift, because I guarantee you, you know, anything that this my friend Joseph here does, it's amazing. It's just like, it's going to change your life. It's going to help. And you go over there and you pass it on. You pass it on, because, you know, as I always say, in life, we only live once. But, you know, if you are doing what you love, once is good enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how hard that is right now or how hard that we'll get. I want to know, Joseph been down there. I've been down there. But you know what I mean? We've been, you know, to the worst places you can think. But then we always kept pushing and we kept getting better. We kept seeking mentors. We kept reading. You know what I mean? Just remind yourself that you are going to make it. Just remind yourself, as I always say, the days that break you are the days that make you. Just remind yourself, as I remind myself every day, to live every day with intention. Just remind yourself that you're going to wake up after you listening to my friends over here course, and after you listen to this podcast, that you're going to wake up tomorrow with way more determination, and that you are going to go to bed with way more satisfaction, because you took massive action. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing time. Any last words, my friend Joseph?
Yeah, that life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. So the trick to life is to every single day boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent. Listen, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for your trust. And let's do this again at another time, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, my friend Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Episode number 9, podcast, Carlos Inspire Show, interviewing amazing leaders of the world. This is a free podcast. The way how you can help us is just by tagging a few people here to talk about it and bringing them here and share this message with the world, because somebody out there today needed to hear what we have to say. Let's go make the world a better place. Love you guys. Have an outstanding day.
Carlos, thank you.